From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We are joined with our super producer, Paul, Mission Control Deccan, but most importantly, you are here, and that makes this stuff they don't want you to know. This episode is going to be an update on it's an update that we hoped but never truly thought we would ever have the chance to do. This is very much a what a time to be alive sort of show. You may recall, longtime listeners, that a while back, when was it, Matt?
May 2016.
May 2016, we did an episode on what is known as the original Night Stalker, or the Golden State Killer. And in this episode, we looked at the current research and investigation into those, at the time, unsolved crimes, the various theories, the various leads that were taken up and later rejected by law enforcement and armchair investigators on specialized crime forums, on Reddit, all over the internet, including some of the authors who made it their life's work to hunt down this killer. Today, however, we're telling a very different story. Today, we are making it official. After decades of dead ends, tantalizing theories, and frustrating leads, justice may have finally caught up with the Golden State Killer. Before you listen to this episode, if you would like a deep dive into the crimes and the past investigation of the crimes of the Golden State Killer, or East Area Rapist as they were also known, do check out our episode from May 2016. We'll wait.
Oh man, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Kind of a bummer, really.
Yeah, but it was a fact-filled episode and lots of avenues to investigate.
But we get a happy ending here, is what this amounts to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of sorts. Yeah.
Ish.
It's there's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel.
There you go.
Right?
That's a better turn of phrase.
We'll see. We hope we as a society make it to the light. Quick background for everybody who just sat quietly the way the three of us did in the studio while your fellow listeners were checking out that episode. From at least 1974 to 1986, California was plagued by a serial break-in artist, a burglar, later a rapist, and then finally a murderer who was known by several different names and was believed to be several different people for a time. The Visalia Ransacker, the Diamond Knot Killer, the Golden State Killer, the East Area Rapist, and also the original Night Stalker, nowadays more often referred to as the Golden State Killer, I believe.
Yeah, because the Golden State Killer encompasses all of these different crime sprees.
And eventually, in the course of their investigation, law enforcement and independent investigators began to connect the dots, and they said, we believe this is all the work of a single individual. So not copycatters, not a group operating in concert, although we do have a bit of a rabbit hole about that, but a single man. A man who might never be apprehended until, that is, on April 25th, 2018, when authorities announced the arrest of a suspect named Joseph James DeAngelo Jr., a 72-year-old retired police officer. He was arrested on 8 counts of first-degree murder based on DNA evidence, and more than 40 years since his criminal career began, the original Night Stalker would finally, maybe, be held accountable. This is the accumulation of countless of hours of police work, contributions and analysis by thousands and thousands of people, several of whom are doubtlessly listening to this podcast today, and, in a very real sense, a lucky break. So what happened? Can we look back over some of these original crimes?
I think we must.
Well, here are the facts then. Maybe we start with the Visalia Ransacker. And we do have to say, we are only at this point talking about documented crimes. As you've seen in previous shows, it is an unfortunate fact in the U.S. that many, many, many crimes do not get reported.
Do you think that because of what's come to light that we'll find out about more, or do you think that's unlikely?
You know, ideally, there wouldn't be more to find, but realistically, there are probably some. It's just a safe thing to guess. The question then becomes, if we were talking about pre-1970s stuff,
Right.
were the authorities at the time collecting DNA? Does anything remain?
I got you.
Know?
Yeah.
So it's tough, but who knows? Also, if it turns out, we should say DeAngelo has not been convicted yet, but if it turns out that he is convicted, and he already, from what we understand, confessed to several things, he may just go on and start naming more names and instances because he is, frankly, at the end of his life, one way or the other.
Yep, as can often happen with these kinds of legacy crimes.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, the Visalia ransacker was a master burglar and break-in guy, believed to be responsible for more than 100 crimes, again, only the ones that we know of. The first ransacking that was recorded was on Tuesday, March 19th, 1974, and one thing that stood out to people was that he passed over a lot of high-value items, a lot of electronics, a lot of keepsakes and stuff, and instead he stole about $50 worth of coins from a piggy bank. That's what he took.
Clearly something else at work here other than desire for monetary gain.
Right, because there are pawn shops everywhere. He could have taken something and then pawned it and made much more than $50.
Is the key word here ransack, right? Because this is about going through people's private things.
Yes, just so. He was tearing houses apart, knocking over furniture, cutting stuff up, going in the closets, throwing out things, but he would only actually steal a few small items, trinkets, cufflinks.
Keepsakes.
And he would also, probably the creepiest thing he would do is he would arrange items in what appeared to be almost a ritualistic fashion, like women's underwear. He did steal weapons. He stole 6 weapons. He was prolific. He committed multiple break-ins in the same area on the same day. And he also set a record for that, too.
Yeah, he broke into 12 different homes in a single day on Saturday, November 30th, 1974.
And at this point, other than the strange arrangement of items, it looks like a really creepy burglar, right? Until, that is, on September 11th, 1975, a man who is strongly believed to be the ransacker broke into the home of one Claude Snelling at 532 Whitney Lane. It's now South Whitney Street, if you're familiar with the neighborhood. Claude caught someone trying to kidnap his daughter in their carport, and this still unnamed person shot Claude twice, and Claude died, and the assailant fled. This became the first known murder linked to what we call the original Night Stalker, and this murder prompted him to leave town.
So he's escalated already from ransacking to child snatching?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like that was the course. It's pretty safe to say that if the daughter had been successfully kidnapped, she would have at the very least been assaulted.
And then the murder, though, was a byproduct of being caught.
Yes, the murder was more than likely a moment of panic or perhaps in some sense meant to erase a witness, but it's probably not the primary intent.
But the story of this man is one of escalation. So I just wanted to point that out. And it's interesting that this particular killing, I wonder if it's like what kind of gave him the taste or something like that. Or he's like, maybe I want to add this to my repertoire.
You have to wonder, too, because we find often in serial murders, like in our previous episodes on uncaught serial killers, we do see this escalation. Someone starts with fires. Someone starts with mutilations, right? Or running by and slashing someone or choking somebody. And then it builds and builds. But this killer was, at this point, still lucid enough to realize the dangers if they chose to stay in Visalia. So in mid-1976, he moves to Sacramento, And that's where he progresses fully from burglary and murders, perhaps unintentionally, to sexual assault.